Because a voting station in Dunoon has been experiencing technical glitch with some of its equipment. The presiding officer has told Newzroom Afrika that the voters' roll computer stopped working from this morning. Newzroom Afrika's Athi Mtongana has been at the centre tracking developments, joining us live now from Dunoon. Athi, is that machine working now?
A very good evening to you, Tembi. Well, we've moved from Dunoon. You may know that the Western Cape's IEC will be hosting a media briefing at 7 o'clock. Well, it was due to take place, but we're still waiting, of course, for IEC officials here in the province to host that media briefing. That's why we left Dunoon. But just to go back to that issue that they are experiencing at that particular voting station, you may recall that the Western Cape alone has 1,577 voting stations provincially. And that particular one in Dunoon, well, we've been told that other IEC voting stations have also experienced similar problems regarding technical glitches. The presiding officer there telling us that their voters' roll computer has not been working from the early hours of this morning between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. and therefore they've resolved to working manually. It hasn't entirely affected the voting processes there. We kept on seeing more people from Dunoon lining up in the queue going ahead to vote. And one of the issues there that were raised by the residents that we spoke to is the issue of overpopulation, the densification of that particular community, where you literally see shacks being built on top of shacks. One resident coming out with ink in his thumb saying that he hopes that the X that he put will be able to speak to the issues that they're facing in Dunoon, hoping for improvements around the issue of housing and the overpopulation in that community. Another issue that we heard from the voters in the Western Cape is the issue with regards to a gentleman who says he relocated from Johannesburg with his family to Cape Town, and during the registration process he tried to ensure that his name gets reflected then in Cape Town. However, when he stepped into that voting station in Parklands, he was turned away by IEC officials. Him and his wife are unable to vote simply because their names are not reflected here in Cape Town in the voters' roll. So those are some of the issues that we've been hearing from residents on the ground here. We're waiting for IEC officials to brief us on those numbers. You may know that over 3 million South Africans have already voted. We are waiting for the finalization of those numbers. It's still quite early, but predictions by experts show that at around 1:30 this afternoon, there had been 13.7% voters turnout in the Western Cape alone.
And Athi, I mean, there's no overstating the stakes, isn't it, in the Western Cape? It's been Cape Town in particular has been a DA stronghold for years, but the dynamics have changed a lot since 2016. The party's then mayor, Patricia de Lille, had a falling out with the DA and then subsequently formed her own organization. The ANC has also been on quite a push to try and win it back. The EFF also going all out to try and win votes. They're sending out its former SG, Godrich Gardy, even to campaign.
It's not going to be easy for the Democratic Alliance because of the advent of these small new political parties. For example, the Cape Coloured Congress has taken so many of the old DA members into its ranks, as well as the Good Party, as you rightfully put it, by Patricia de Lille, who's no stranger to the political atmosphere here in the Western Cape, and also many other smaller political parties and also independent candidates. The DA's Federal Council Chairperson Helen Zille even mentioned how much of a dent these new smaller political parties have caused in as far as their presence and their stronghold is concerned. Now, it is quite early to tell the numbers, but experts are saying that in some of the rural areas in the Western Cape where the DA holds a stronghold, they're looking at a figure of about 48%, and the ANC trailing behind at 28%. That's in the rural parts of the Western Cape outside of the city of Cape Town Metro, which is highly, highly contested. As you put it, the EFF Godrich has been deployed by the Economic Freedom Fighters to try and make the presence of the EFF felt here, as well as the Good Party and many other political parties. About 96 political parties contesting in the Western Cape and 53 in the highly contested city of Cape Town Metro.
Athi, Mtongana live first from the IEC's Results Operations Center in the province.